Okay, so here we are back in the ladies' room with the lovely Dr. Theresa. So we're just going to be firing a load of questions at you today, Theresa. Just it's all girl talk and everything that you've wanted to know, but you might be a little bit too embarrassed to ask. So that's what Theresa is here for, to answer all of our little dirty questions, dirty secrets, all that kind of stuff. So I want to start off, Theresa, by talking about the read, because that is the number one thing that really gets the pelvic floor. And I think the read is probably one of my favorites because it's so easy to kind of imagine that straw right from that laying the egg place right up into the tummy. But I think the problem that we have with the read is trying to find where it should be, how much we should suck on the reed, and how not to get that winky, tight bum feeling. I think that's the problem that most of us will have first with the reed.
The great thing about the read is, and this is how working the corset is it's all about the image. So as soon as you have the right image, your voice going, read, read, read is, or bingo ball, you know, you get this sucking up high. You can even like make the bingo ball go up and down. But how do you get that damn bingo ball from on the ground up to where it needs to be without pushing?
Tightening everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's where the problem lies, is girls being so much more advanced than boys. So we do talk about the laying the egg place because actually humans are more advanced than chickens. Yeah. So humans have more holes than chickens do, and girls have more holes than boys do because we separate our place that we go wee or pee from the place that we have sex. So we are advanced because our urologic and reproductives are separated, but the back passage is the same with both, and it goes up into the colon. Now, both men and women have a pelvic floor, and mostly they work the same. So the men can do the read too. Yeah. But here's where the problem is with women. And of course, we have this in the front. So if you can imagine for a man, you know, where they go pee, there has to be a very long reed that goes from their bladder, which is in the abdomen, all the way out to the end. So they have this long straw. Our bladder is right next to where we go pee. So basically we just have a little ring there. And so if there's too much pressure on the top, it just pushes pee out a little bit. And we'll talk about this a little bit in another question in a minute. But what I want women to understand is this feeling of shutting and off and going and shutting off. Those are the Kegels, like that you're clenching. It's just the outermost level, and it's in the front. So we have 3 holes. We have the 3 holes is where we go pee, where we have sex, where the babies come out of. That's our vagina. Where you know, when we have our period, that's where things come out there. And then we have the rectum, and the squeezy, winky part on the outside is called the anus. So the anus has a lot of tone, and you can feel like, you can like not move anything and go wink, wink, wink. But past the anus is the rectum. So up in there somewhere where food is and poo is in Never Never Land. Yeah. I mean, we can kind of feel where it starts, but then it kind of just goes away. Yeah. But that's the secret to the read, because what happens is, in the front, if you try and pick up, because the bladder is right there on top of it, you can't pick up very much. And that's why Kegeling is like crunches on the outside. Yeah. So you're working the outside, but nothing on the inside. And if you think like stair steps, so that's the lowest one. Then the middle step is the vagina. So if you think that you're pulling up through there, which is sort of the middle, which makes sense. So why aren't we doing this? Well, why we aren't doing it is because I did it literally this way for 10 years. Yeah. And it works, but it doesn't work nearly as well. And that's because on top of the vagina is your uterus. Yeah. So you can only go up so far that way too. And the problem with the read is, the best thing about the vagina is it can give you this image of what happens when you have the read too far to the outside or the wrong spot. And for any woman who's ever worn a tampon that they wasn't pushed in far enough, you know, it's like ow, 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 and you sit there and you're like, can I suck it in like higher? And when you try and suck in there, it doesn't work. But when you have to have a poo, and it's there, you can like suck it in way much farther. So each of these steps, your body and your brain knows there's way more room. So in the front, no room. In the middle, room, but not much, and pretty uncomfortable. So we all know that stuck feeling of kind of half in, half out. And if you get to the right place, like you have instant relief. But when you're in the wrong place, you have terrible pain. And so what we're going to focus in is you can either use the back passage and the rectum area, or you can use, even more specifically, is the place where all three of the pelvic floors that we talk about come together. There's a little knot. And sometimes we call this the taint, because it's taint the front and it taint the back. So it's between the last two holes. So it's hole 2.5. And it isn't a hole, it's like a little knot. And as a doctor, I could actually run my finger over and it feels like there's a little knot. That's tacking those three together. And if you were a chicken, that would be the egg spot.
Okay.
Because they combine both of those. Okay, so that's combined into that hole. So you're literally lifting up through that place. But if you focus on trying to get up, basically where the intestine and up here, then you get to this place. And with the reed, it is a suction to get it up, but it's a mistake to keep holding it by sucking. It's almost impossible not to activate. What you want then is to activate that bingo ball feeling. So you want to sip. So you want to feel like I can relax and suck again. So it's like, or bubble, 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 and that ball is bubbling. And it can be bubbling way down low, or it can be literally up in your forehead.
And Theresa, does that depend on the strength of your pelvic floor, or, you know, let's say that you've developed quite a strong pelvic floor over time, having done all of these exercises. Does that determine how high your ball can?
No, and isn't that awesome? Okay. Because guess what determines it? Your mind. Because that's the only thing standing in our way is that image. So what is holding your pelvic floor back is your ability to create that image. So, Walt Disney, that invented, Disneyland and Disney World, one of his famous quotes was, "If you can dream it, you can do it." So if you can dream that bingo ball up this high, and doing things like the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, where it goes up and down like this, you can make a Tower of Terror of your bingo ball.
Awesome.
You can make it go up and down and all different. The exercising in the pelvic floor is really about the awareness, is about getting that corset to whoosh in. So it isn't about having strong. Strong is important. We're going to get things from having it be strong. We're going to get better continence. We're going to get better sexual response. We're going to be able to exercise, have performance. So if like you're in sport, you will get those things. What we're in this class for, and what most people is like, have a flat tummy. And the biggest barrier to the flat tummy is literally just awakening the pelvic floor. So having control of the reed through your mind is a lot more effective. You're not actually lifting it up and down with your pelvic floor. So that is a mistake. You're lifting it up with your mind.
Okay. So I want to just, before we finish on the reed, Theresa, for somebody, assuming I have never worked on my pelvic floor before, I don't even know what it really is, I don't know where it is, it's just a big mystery to me. And let's say, okay, you come to me and say, we're going to start on the reed first. And let's say I start to work on the reed. Is it okay to have that winking and that clenching to start off in the bum, just so I kind of have some sort of an understanding of where it is and maybe how to get to it, but I'm not at that place just yet? Is it okay to do it wrong to start, but I'm thinking in the right way, I want to get there, but I'm not quite.
I think I get what you're asking.
Yeah.
And this is really important because it's quite different. Because I am all about technique, and when I want everyone doing these exercises that you need to do on the outside right, you need to not overstress yourself. So everyone's wanting to burn more calories or do something physically harder or impair their balance or do it with a weight or do it super fast before their mind actually has control. So what we're really wanting is first to accurately locate and make a clear picture. So we want to come into crystal clear focus. Like I said, it's the power of your mind. So in fact, doing it wrong, hard, is a great way to learn. So clenching and winking help you feel what it feels like to let go. So in the beginning, I don't think it can be done without clenching and winking. And if people think they're not doing it, they probably really, people, men are even worse. They probably are doing it. And so I actually want them to squeeze and first let go of the butt, of the glutes, of those big muscles, because you can actually touch them with your finger. And the winky is really like a wink. Like it's stuck like this, just like, you don't have to go bug eyes. Yeah. All you have to do is like go, let it open. Like, open, it doesn't need to be, just open it. So when you feel that and you let go of the scrunch, right? And you're like this, but you still have the wink, then you just go, and you feel what it feels like to open it. Then you try it again, and you try to not activate as much. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That's exactly what I was asking, because I think it can be quite frustrating for somebody to start off, and the pelvic floor is so mysterious, and it's not really talked about, as I spoke to you about before when I did my training and stuff. There was really no mention about the pelvic floor, and it's this new thing that people are starting to hear a little bit more about, but I think it can be quite complicated for somebody to come in, the very first time, and to try and imagine where all of these things are when they really don't have a clue where it is to start with. So that's exactly the answer that I was looking for. So awesome. So I think that's pretty much it on the read for now. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about the read?
No, the read is, again, I think that the main take-home message, which is hard, which I remember when I first started helping you understand this, and you were learning like, oh, I want to learn, like it was like another core class. Yeah. And then I remembered when I would start teaching someone else, and you said, oh, I could hear your voice talking about these, and you would say, do the read. And I wasn't even trying to do the read, but the read was doing itself. Yeah. That what we need to understand by doing these strange exercises we do in the coat and corset is your corset is invisible. It doesn't show much. This won't seem like a regular exercise class, but then we can do the coats. And the whole point is you change coats without taking your corset off. So the sound of your voice saying apple core, reed, hanger, dino tail, send out your sits bones, dig in your spurs, prong them into the wall. We have all of these sayings that are in the glossary, and the point isn't to study them. The point is to feel them and see them with this mental eye picture, and then you don't even think about it. It actually starts to happen because of the trigger, and that's the corset activating. It's so beautiful. But if you don't learn these exercises and you don't let the image trigger it, you're always going to be putting your underwear on as outerwear. Yeah. And as we said, that's for Halloween, So that's when we all get to dress up in our underclothes and say, I'm a wench, or I'm a sexy pirate, or I'm a repairman, or I'm a hooker. I mean, basically it's all hookers and a witch hooker and say, no, I'm not a whore every day, just today, when everybody's allowed to be. So that's when you wear your outside, that's where you wear your underwear on the outside as display. But it would be nice if you had already your flat tummy mummy. If you're going to go out in your underwear, it would be nice if you have your flat tummy mummy body all the way in there. So I think that's pretty good with that. Yeah, so I hope you understand the read a little bit more. When you get it, you'll get it. You have it when you get it. So it's just one of those things, clicks. So good with the read.